Hello, everybody. We are Bridging Realms with Melody Pash, and these are my team members, Darla and Jill.
Hello.
And we are going to talk about some dreams today. Thank you for joining us. We're super excited. Let me pull that. We've got a couple of dreams. One, let me find them. All right. This first dream we're going to talk about, and we'll go over the pieces. Ladies, as many times as you want me to reread it or whatever, just let me know if I need to go back to something. Jill or Darla, either one of you, if you just need me to repeat something, let me know, okay? All right, so this is called product submission, this dream. Kind of a funny dream. So, let's see. This dream, the dreamer says, I was with several people waiting on a large area at an airport. A young woman who was new at her direct sales job was trying to sell me a bundle or package of cleaning and wellness products. The dreamer says it reminded her of the Melaleuca Company, which is a direct sales kind of I don't know if it's a pyramid, but direct sales kind of thing. Her two male managers were with her, and they were pressing her to push purchase to the dreamer to purchase the bundle and in a monthly subscription. The two managers decided after some time that the dreamer wasn't worth it because they weren't going to be spending this money because she said if it's $150 or over, they wouldn't be buying it. So she had no intention of buying the subscription. Then she goes to a locker room area to take a shower. She takes a shower, comes out, returns naked, still wet. Everyone had left. It was waiting for the flight because they had gone to board the flight so that they could leave. The dreamer says, I stood feeling left behind and wondering if there was any possible way that I could dry off, dress, and still make it to the gate before the flight took off. The dreamer says, I doubted it, but really wanted to get home. So I guess home was the destination. All right, I'm going to go back and read back through these different parts. So I was with several people waiting in a large area at an airport. Ladies, you have anything on that? Airport, waiting for transport. Darla, you had, go ahead, sorry.
It's a hub, and it's a public place as well, and there are lots of people coming and going. You don't know who you're going to brush shoulders with. You don't know. You've got planes coming from all over the world, and depending on the airport.
Right.
Kind of like this platform right now. There's people that come and go. They're free to do, sit, watch, visit until their time.
Yeah.
But you get to explore what other people have as well as carrying your own destiny. And I kind of got the feeling that you were patiently waiting, or the dreamer was patiently waiting. And here comes somebody to sell him something. And isn't that just the way it is? Once you're on your game, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, staying in your lane, and then some kind of offer comes along to kind of kick you off just a little bit of your game because they had an agenda to sell the dreamer something that the dreamer wasn't probably even looking for.
Yeah, I think that's probably right. So, yeah, she's talking about the young woman is probably working on a promotion, or at least feeling good about her job, because she's trying really hard to sell this product. But yeah, you're right. It's and they want her only to buy it in the subscription. So she's going to have to get it every month. It's like a coercion, right? It's a purchasing. So that's going to come. They're going to get money every month. The company would get money every month, but outside of that, she would get the woman would get product. The dreamer would get product, and probably more than what she ever needed. It's a little bit like going to Costco, isn't it? It's like, I want salsa, but I didn't really want 4 bottles of salsa. I really wanted 1 bottle of salsa.
And, great product.
Right.
They love the stuff, but and you said it was a young woman, so
Yeah.
influential and ambitious a little bit. Nonetheless, a little bit of a distraction. And why only, like you say, in bulk? And then what happens to that bulk? I mean, you have this great product, you have this good thing that you want in every household, especially if everybody you love, type of thing. But the reality is, this isn't something the dreamer is looking for. And it's just, I feel like it's just kind of a shot from out of the dark.
Well, and there were some notes too about it being.
I froze.
Froze up, yeah.
Makes perfect sense. But did we drop?
Yeah,
You
Yeah,
froze
we
a
did.
minute. Okay, so we had you guys out there pray for us, because we've had quite the opposition today, and very interesting. But it's like, I understand the upsell. That's what I would do if I was selling. Absolutely, it makes perfect sense. But there's also, one of you brought up that it might be it might feel like a sales job. But I mean, think about even how the religious sometimes will try to sell us something, or another political party will try to sell us something, and we're not in the market. We're not looking for that product. That product is not what we need. That product is, but somebody's trying to sell it to you.
Yeah.
And so it does become a distraction, right, Darla? And then it also becomes overwhelming. Jill, did you want to?
Yes,
speak in
I wanted to go a little different direction on this. I felt like it was political, and that the two merchants that are the two salesmen that were trying to get the gal were lobbyists. And so the gal would be like a representative that is representing the people. But to push a bill through, the lobbyists were trying to get them to settle on this package deal. So I was kind of going that direction with it.
And that makes sense. Yeah, because, it's a little bit like, I mean, we have to be very, very careful, right? When we're trying to share mindsets, ideas. They can be a great idea. It can be something that's a new idea. How sometimes a new idea requires a little bit of education. You have to educate the recipient rather than just forcing it down their throats, right? They're not used to it. It's not common to them. They don't it's not even palatable depending on your presentation, right? So it can be very overwhelming, but there's also that, sort of legalistic, but you need what I have. And there's this pride that comes in with that, and sometimes will shut down the recipient, so it causes a lot of problems. You guys pray, because we're having some technical problems today. It happens. It'll be all right. Hopefully you don't miss anything that we're saying, but anyway. Yeah. Yeah, and the dreamer says it reminded her of the Melaleuca company. Going back, Darla, to what you were saying, great product. I mean, I bought that from a friend one time to help her out, and had never used it. Love the product. It's very condensed. It's like it goes a long, long way. You have to mix it, expand it, mix it with water or whatever, and it really stretches it out. It's really worth the money. But you couldn't do a one-time purchase. You had to purchase it in subscription, and it was, so many dollars a month, and then you've got that much product. I mean, eventually you run out of space to even put it in. I was a single woman, and there was no place to store it all, and there's no way, as condensed as it was, there's no way I was going to use all that. So I eventually, of course, wound up canceling the subscription, which I felt bad about because I love the product. But that was like 5 years ago, and I've still got product I'm trying to use. That's how condensed it was. It was a lot. It was, it's great product. It's just,
well,
how
and
much can you keep? Go ahead.
I think also the whole mindset, you hear an answer to a problem, in this, it happens to be cleaning products, health products, whatever. But, just like the political movements, the different things going on in the schools that, like we say, the young people are very susceptible to. So you hear somebody's got this idea. Somebody has taken charge. We have somebody to follow now. And in part of the, what would you say, the default of this whole movement is that eventually, because you believe in it and there are so few leaders, you're going to become a leader. You're going to become a supplier. You're going to have to do something.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to give up whatever plane you got to catch next, possibly, if you go for it. And I think the $150 a month, Jill could probably have something to say about that number. But anyway, the whole idea is to, if you look at the negative flip side, is that somebody's taking your foundation, somebody's taking your platform to create their own, and it benefits most definitely. But then, like you said, you come to this wall and it's like, what do I do now? I can't really use all this. And it's even like when we come into our own giftings and our own ministry, so God gives you the great gift, say, of being an architect, and you get hired to build this entire city block, with, beautiful design cities, beautiful or glass windows and landscaping and great materials that you gather from all around the world. But you step in and think, oh, I'm not sure, this might be too much. I don't know if I can do this. Maybe I'll not get the granite from Italy or the wood from this place. And we keep talking ourselves down. We're giving our gifts away without having them developed. And we end up maybe lucky to build the doghouse, instead of what the grand idea, of staying on your path, of walking in your gifting, staying in your lane. You can see other leaders, you can see other things going on, but I think the more mature we get, hopefully the more standard and the more boundaries, we're able to raise up for ourselves.
Well, and that makes sense because when you are in any direct sales company, it's like you said, they are going to require you to then sell as well. You can't, it's not like you can just purchase, right? So you're receiving, but then you're also going to have to, like you said, you're going to have to use your giftings, your talents and your skills to go out and do what they do. But there's a real conformity to that as well, which yes, works from the political side, as Jill was saying, works, as you were saying, even with the educational system. And then it's also, and don't get me wrong, I understand the mentoring and learning from someone who has pioneered and dug the dirt before you, made a trail before you so that you can learn and be promoted, advanced, increase in what God has given you. But this is it's this conformity, isn't it? It's this conformity, which is why I agree with Jill. It could be very much political too, because it's this conformity. And so everybody is doing
Yeah. Froze up again.
So you've got to sell. You can't only be a customer, right? I just wanted to be a customer, right? Sometimes you just want to be, that's what the dreamer was saying. I just wanted to be a customer, but I wanted to buy a little bit. I didn't want to buy it every month, right? I don't want to be forced into buying that story or buying that information or buying that product, which, I mean, it was cleaning and wellness. Think of that even with the medical industrial complex, where we have been given this big hook with the medical field, and we're supposed to blindly trust the medical field rather than taking responsibility for our own health and taking care of the bodies that God has given us, which are created to heal themselves, right? So I agree with all that. That is very, very interesting. And yeah, it can kind of go a lot of ways, can it?
Yep, it really does.
Yeah, and I think Darla or somebody said, you wind up with all this product and you're trying to pawn it off on like all your family members and your friends, and then nobody likes you anymore. It's like every time you come near, they're like, oh yeah, no, I'm good. Because there's so much pressure on the sales. But that is exactly what's going on in the political, like Jill was saying, in the education, in the health. It's the whole industrial complex. It's happening everywhere where we're being pressed to take the narrative. You need this narrative. You need to believe this. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a little bit, but it is a coercion. It's control and manipulation, which we know, which we're very familiar with, right?
Yes.
So common. And then when the dreamer finally has again set her boundaries, that's not what I'm going to do. I'm not going to spend that money. I'm going to be frugal. I'm going to take care of myself. I'm not going to buy that story. So I won't be spending $150 or $200 a month on product because I don't need that much product and I'm not going to spend that money. Then the managers decide, well, let's don't spend any more time on this customer because they only want to be a customer and they don't want to build a business. Not everybody wants to build a business in a
My goodness.
Or sometimes like what they're trying to sell, pushing it down our throats, and we're saying, no, we're not buying that narrative. Did you have something you wanted to say, Darla?
Well, you had cut out there for a bit, but I was thinking kind of like us when we begin to walk in our spiritual gifts as well. I remember thinking, wow, God speaks through me. He does. And all I could think about was, I want to write somebody a prophetic reading. And I want to record somebody, every day, get up in the thoughts, Lord, what do you have to say to this person? Or somebody would come in my mind with a nice thought. And I'm thinking, I want to do this. Well, pretty soon, you pick up the phone enough times and people are going to quit answering. If you keep calling enough times, oh, that's just Darla. She thinks she's got something to say to me.
You do?
And they get tired of hearing it. That's what I'm trying to not make this all about, because there are people definitely that make a good living off of
Absolutely.
what they're
Absolutely.
meant to do.
And I don't have any problem with direct sales. Don't get me wrong. Lots of people do very well with that. It's not my jam, but yeah.
Yeah. So, and the same with the Bible. Everybody's got their own perspective of Revelation or this or that, or what this is and what that means. But,
yeah,
you can only talk about it so much, and then you need to get back in your lane. You need to get back with what, your world is. And so I think part of this, this dreamer is in such a busy place, and there are people focused, on what their calling or what their preference is, what their gift is to offer.
Yeah.
And they're just out there trying it out and unsuspecting airplane people.
Right. Yeah. What a strange place to be trying to sell cleaning and wellness products, sitting with somebody, right? Waiting for a flight. And you said something that made me think of some other statement I was going to make, and then I lost it. But which is why I was going to just bring up the school, which is why in the school, you guys as directors and coaches, which is why we spend so much time really helping people, number one, with language, and number two, with just being, allowing people to be where they are, and giving them what's palatable to them, what they can take a little at a time. I'm not saying we're placating them. I'm not saying we're watering anything down. I'm saying, again, the example of, going to Starbucks and you ask for a 12-ounce cup, but you really want a grande, right? You want 16 ounces, and that 12-ounce cup is not going to hold it. So it's going to be a big mess. There's going to be a mess because that person is not in the position yet to hold it. But as God works with them, they get a little at a time, and they can chew on it, they can process it, and we can be nourished by those truths. Then we're ready for more. It's what you're talking about, Darla, that getting to that place of, developing maturity. And that takes time, it takes energy, and it sometimes most of the time takes very, very patient mentors, which you guys are, which I love. So I'm going to read the last part of this dream. So the dreamer says, I went into a locker room type area and took a shower, then came out, but she was naked, still wet, and she was upset because everybody had left, and all who were waiting, not just, she says, not just the people who were trying to sell her, but everybody that was waiting had gone now to the gate to board and leave. She said, I stood there feeling left behind and wondering if there was any possible way that I could still dry off, dress, and still make it to the gate before the plane took off. But I doubted it, even though I really wanted to get home. Darla, you were kind of talking about this earlier, where you were talking about your gifts and your destiny and what God has put in you. That's kind of home, but aren't we all in a very interesting transition where home even is looking different, right? We were talking about this yesterday, Jill. It's like everything is
Yeah, upside down.
right. And the word says the kingdom of God is upside down, right? It's an upside down kingdom. That's exactly where we are. And this poor dreamer is, what do you think? What do you think, Jill, about her going into the shower?
Well, I would say that's cleaning those filters, her mindset, where you have to evaluate where you are, with the Lord, and what is best for yourself, and if it's the
Absolutely.
direction that the Lord is taking you. So it's pretty necessary, and the fact that everybody else left her kind of gives the idea that they went as they were. So they're going with all of their
Wow.
stuff, all of
Mm.
their hang-ups, to wherever they're going. So
That
she's
is
responsible just for herself, and she
that
needs.
is really a good point. Really a good point, because isn't that the way it works so much of the time? We haven't spent any time with the reflecting pool or with the mirror, and we don't even know there's stuff there. We talk about this a lot. We don't even know there's anything there that's a problem or that would negate any part of our gifting, our destiny, our calling. Yet there is, and you're right, those filters and those mindsets have to be. And it was like I was saying a while ago, we can't receive more until everything gets sort of cleaned out and we have room for more, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, she was willing to be cleansed. I love that. And what do you guys think about her standing there naked and wet? Poor girl.
I think if she's obviously mature, because she's been kind, she's staying in her lane, she's doing all the right things. And had she been a less mature woman, she would have thought, oh, all the pretty people just abandoned me. I'm not one of them, They're
Right.
they're catching their flight. Here I am, dripping wet, and naked. So I think she passed.
I think she passed the test.
Well, I was wondering, since she's wet, if that wouldn't be like fresh revelation of where she's at, and it's a
Absolutely.
vulnerability.
Yeah.
Absolutely. In that place of vulnerability and transparency, right?
Yeah.
You've lost your garments. She had to take off the old garments to get to the new place. And yeah, absolutely, Jill. That is really good. Fresh revelation. And isn't that what comes when we submit ourselves to the process and the cleansing and the deliverance? It always opens you up to more, and you're like, wow, right? Right? Blew my mind. That's the way it works. Wow, that is really good. And just being in a locker room, that sort of depicts someplace where you would work out or you would change. I mean, it goes along with what you're saying, Jill, that's the place of vulnerability, of transparency, of going through the process, right? Getting through the process.
Yeah, there's nothing private about a locker room.
No, you're right. You're so right. Yeah. And she was wondering if she could still get home on that plane, but that there's also there's a timing sometimes in the process as well, which I think we have to make sure that we honor God's
Oh,
timing,
yeah.
right? And it takes all of us a different amount of time. It might have taken me weeks to learn to ride a bicycle. You guys might have gotten on a bicycle and rode it the first day. You know, we're all different. We're all different. It's just the way it is. And just that it was the gate, they were waiting. They were in an area waiting to go to the gate. They weren't even at the gate yet. And that gate is sort of that place of ascension, right? They play that place of moving through one dimension into another dimension in the spiritual realm, and also coming through with greater maturity. The gate, that really makes sense. They all went as they were, but she was willing to submit herself to the process. And but she had a little bit of FOMO there at the end. You know, could I, you know, is there any way I could still make it, right?
Mhm.
You don't want to get left out, and
Right.
you don't want to miss God on anything. Yet it's like you were saying, or one of you were saying, you know, individually, the way God works with us, we've got to allow Him to work with us in the way that we can basically process where He's taking us.
Well, I was thinking that she was needing to make the right connection. So the plane that she was trying to catch probably was not the plane that she needed to be on, because she can't conform to those mindsets with the people that she got left behind with. And so she needs to stay and get the right plane, the right connections, because she doesn't want to take a wrong flight, you know?
That
You
makes
don't want
perfect
to
sense.
you don't want to preempt what the Lord is doing in your life. So you've got to
No,
listen to His calling and His timing on stuff, like you were saying. So
absolutely. And I go back to that amount of money, the 150. If it's going to cost me 150 or $200 a month, I'm not going to do that. And you know, anything that you add 100 to is going to be fullness. It's going to be more of, and 50 is going to be a lot of grace, but it's also going to be, you know, a jubilee, and that's quite an investment. And 200, it could be like the advancement or multiplication of even expectation, what you expect in your life, and just a depiction of like you and God relationship, that exponential closeness, the deep intimacy of relationship between you and Yahweh. And the way the Lord, you know, that takes investment. It takes time, it takes energy, it takes humility, right? So that is an investment. And she knew not to invest in the wrong thing, which was cleaning products and wellness. Yet let's look at how that's not a conflict. It's not the opposite of what she receives from the Father. It was just a counterfeit of what she was going to receive from the Father, right?
Yeah, that's
so
good.
Go ahead, Jill.
No, I said that is really good. That is exactly what was going on, because she went into the locker room and she got her cleansing. That was also the healing too that she needed. And so that was definitely, like you were saying, a counterfeit, what they were trying to get her to subscribe to. So yeah, that was awesome.
That is a really good dream, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you still, if you submit yourself to the process and you allow God to do his work in you. And I mean, to develop your giftings, and more than that, your character and your heart. Remember, King David was always asking for the Lord to look at his heart and to deal with what was in his heart. If we allow God to deal with those things in us and to clean up those filters, as Jill was saying, that and even the Darla was talking about the remaining transparent and not negating the process, we get the real reward on the other side of that, the true reward on the other side of that. And that's maturity, and that's peace, and that's health, and that's every form of what's the shalom of God. It's every form of prosperity, every form of peace and hope and wellness and all-encompassing well-being, everything, because the word says that the Lord wants us to prosper in every area of life. So that is a great dream. I love all the dreams, and we're going to get to the gate, right? But let's get there clean and sanctified and ready,
Amen.
so that we can allow ourselves that development, because that's really, really important. Really important. That's such a good dream. Hey, Eileen from Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Hey, daughter, how are you? How's everybody? Yeah, you guys put in the chat where you're from. We like that. We love that. We like to know where you're from and who you are. Yeah. Okay. You guys want to move on to this treehouse apartment? Jill, I think you've got a lot of notes on that one. You want to start us off?
Well,
let me hold on. Let me read
it.
Yeah, and I'm going to go ahead and put, since you worked on the numbers, I think that's always good. So it's called Treehouse Apartment. The Dreamer had it on 3/3/25 and 4:30 a.m. So, all right. So the Dreamer says, I was moving into a large open apartment that was very unique and in a building I had lived in before. I knew the management well, and they were friends. Friends of family were helping me unpack, and they were just getting up after a sleep. So they had gone to sleep, but they got up the next day and were unpacking all the boxes. I noticed the front double doors had been open all night long, but didn't worry because it was a very safe building. I noticed a small blonde side table. She said it was one of those old telephone tables where you put a telephone book, in the little cubby, and then a telephone sits on the top of it. And it had an older style phone sitting on it that could only be used with a landline. And there was another small piece of furniture, and it was right outside in the hallway, surrounded by boxes and lots of other things. The management of the building had left these two furniture pieces there to see if the Dreamer wanted them or could use them. However, the Dreamer says that they didn't have a landline and they didn't need any more furniture, so they had what they wanted. Now, the Dreamer also noticed across the hall that another woman was also moving in, and she was foreign. That's all that's given there, that it was a foreign woman. And the Dreamer says something to the foreign woman, and the foreign woman is agitated because the Dreamer's things are all out in the hallway and inconvenienced her with her moving in. So this woman is mad at the Dreamer because of that. And so the woman starts pointing out what she thought were defects in the dreamer's new place. She said that some of the rooms had no ceiling and other rooms had open layers but no floors. And what would I do if it rained outside and with no ceilings? And what would I do if it got freezing cold outside and I had no floors? Oh boy. She made me doubt that I had made the right decision taking this place, even though all those things were what I originally loved about the place. I loved that it felt like a beautiful tree house, completely open. And I was angry at her for making me feel incompetent. And later she asked me something or said something to me while I was unpacking boxes, and I, in very bad form, answered her just as curtly as she had spoken to me. I was ashamed of myself and felt badly that I had treated her in the same way that she had treated me. I had been very unkind. Apparently, the dreamer had offered these two pieces of furniture that she didn't need to the woman across the hall, and the woman across the hall was not very nice about it. So let me start back at this is another one of those other crazy dreams. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So I was moving into a large open apartment that was very unique and in a building I had lived in before. So this was a building that the dreamer was comfortable with, familiar with, and trusted, because the dreamer didn't mind the double doors being open all night. The dreamer says, I knew the management well, and they were friends. Friends or family were helping me unpack, and we were just getting up from a sleep. All right, guys, what do you think about these pieces?
Wow. There's a lot there.
Mm.
If you go back up to the very beginning at the time 4:30 in Strong's Concordance, that means to endure, to bear, or to tolerate. And then in the Hebrew, it means God or power. So, and then if you add 4 plus 3 times 10, you get 70, which is at the end of a cycle. It's a fullness or completion.
A completion. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's talking about a completion in this first paragraph and moving into another realm. It seems to me like where there's potential for growth. And
that makes sense.
Yeah. So anyway, and the management, even though, there's always strength in community, especially among friends and colleagues, you need that. But you also don't want to let that stifle your growth or your ability to move forward. So they're not an enemy, but you've got to make the right choices. So something along that line.
Yeah, and I just wonder if there's even a connotation of management might be part of the Elohim, and confirmed by the numbers that the power of God that you were getting up there, Jill, at the top in the beginning. And this was a very unique building, which no ceilings. That sounds like a kingdom structure to me. And the dreamer said layers of floors, but they were open. There were openings. So, yeah, I agree. It's like the dimensions are different realms, and different levels. When I was reading it, it reminded me of the video game Mario. Mario, is that what it was called? That old video game? Ladies, do you guys remember that? Where Mario is moving along and then the floor comes out from under him, or it ends and he drops off, but he hits another floor and he's fine. He continues on, and then that comes out from under him and it drops him down, and then he has to climb a ladder, and then and you've got all these different, Eileen's saying Donkey Kong. Okay, I don't know Donkey Kong, but anyway, all these different levels, which can definitely depict different dimensions, different realms. And the uniqueness of this structure is that it's very open. It's very open. It's there's a freedom to it, which I think the dreamer was very excited about. And just think about friends and family being around, that might be all those you have common mindsets with, but you're unpacking. It's like that might even be unpacking the revelation in these different realms. What do you think, Darla?
I think that it was Mario Brothers.
There you go. That's what I was trying to say.
There would be all these up in the air that they could
Good
get.
job. Good job, Mario Brothers.
Yeah, talk about a different realm. Well, you never knew it was going to hit you there. But yeah, the openness, that's exactly what it feels like is and coming out of a sleep into this new realm, being and with it sounds like a perfect place, to where we all want to be in the spirit. I totally agree with what you're saying.
I love that. And I love that, coming out of the sleep. That is awesome. I just got a new t-shirt. I didn't wear it today, but I got a new t-shirt that has a big eye. It's so cool. I got it from Laura C. Laura, Laura, and then just the letter C. She does ascension worship, and it's frequency. You guys will love her. She's so out there. Anyway, I got this t-shirt with this big eye, and under the eye, it's beautiful. It's all these colors, and under the eye, it says, "Are you awake?" And it's funny because when I wear it outside, it's like people are looking, but no one's asked yet. No one's asked what that means yet. But I love that. Yeah, you guys have got to check out Laura C. She talking about different dimensions and realms. She will take you there. Well, the Spirit of the Lord will with her sound. I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
So anyway, sorry about that. Kind of a little rabbit trail, but yeah, that waking up, coming out of the mindsets and structure of last seasons. I'm not even going to use the word seasons. That sounds very religious to me right now. An old age. We're really in a new age, and I'm not talking about occultic activity here. I'm talking about it's a whole new world. What's that song? It's the end of the world as we know it, and it's okay.
Yeah.
And it's going to be all right, right?
Yeah.
I love that. I love that.
And
Okay,
we can
go ahead, Jill.
we can certainly see that in everything that's going on now, political, religious, all of our fields are switching and changing. There's just a new, fresh wave of innovation coming upon the people and the land. That we're not doing business as usual. That it's all new, and nobody knows how to step into that exactly. And everybody's kind of feeling their way, because there's no set trail. There's no set way to do things. So it's all by the Lord. It's all by, the Spirit.
Absolutely, right. It's definitely we're flying blind and wouldn't want it any other way,
Right.
right? We wouldn't want it any other way because, like you were saying, there's a greater degree of movement and ascension and development and really revelation that you can move in when you're in a structure that offers freedom, gives freedom. And that structure could be a corporate body, that could be your family, that could be your own mindsets, that could be whatever it is. There's so much there. There's so much there. I love that, but I love that. Okay, so she says, I noticed the front double doors were open. She wasn't worried about it at all because it was a very safe building. And apparently the dreamer, she had been traveling into these dimensions because she was familiar with it and she was not at all worried. But she sees these what do you guys think about the little pieces of furniture and the old style phone on the landline phone on the table? Because you can't use that phone if you don't have a landline, which I don't know if anybody does anymore, hardly.
Well, for one, the open doors, that's in the front. That is usually right now or your future. So it's like a portal. You're able to span those dimensions because of that. And so, like you said, that she was comfortable with some of the dimensions that she was already familiar with. But the two pieces of furniture, that is an old system. It's there and it's available if you want it, but the connection's going to keep you grounded. It's not going to take you to the places where you want to go with
limitation.
Right, it's limitations. Yeah, exactly. So
that's good. And you mentioned the double doors. Let me interject. The double doors are also like a double portion.
Right.
So a double portion of that revelation and the ability to gain access to these realms and dimensions that the Lord's actually inviting us all into, right? Because he wants us to be where he is and vice versa. Sorry, I interrupted.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The furniture does sound super cute, though. It could be like a fond memory, even, because to justify, like we said, the world's gone crazy now. But we can wake up with our doors open and be rested and not afraid. But God made himself known through the children, the Jews, the children of Israel, and then Christ comes along, and turns that upside down. Neither one of them are wrong. They were God, most absolutely, definitely. And now here we're coming into a kingdom, the kingdom. I don't want to say time because God is outside of time, but the communication has always been there. The use, its time was there and was used and moved on to next. We don't have to get stuck with just one thing forever, ever, ever. Amen. He's always new. He's always fresh. He's always,
absolutely.
and even though that little blonde piece of furniture held an outdated means of communication, it's still cute, and I remember being on a party line.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of fond memories, to the good things that God has given us, and not that we have to hang on to them, but it sure doesn't hurt to enjoy them, I guess, to give credit to them.
Absolutely. It's like it's retro. They would be perfect and a
Absolutely.
modern house that's got a contemporary feel to it because it was very retro. What do they call that design, that style? Mid-century modern. It would fit very well there because it had, she said it was like the little, I know exactly what she's talking about because I've seen those little tables. They're so cute and they have this cubby for a big fat telephone book. I mean, they're literally just for a phone, right? And interesting. Yeah, interesting. And I love what Joe was saying about the limitation of the landline, but also think of the word landline and how that even ties in a bit to and sounds a little bit like ley line.
Oh.
So, we talk about the ley lines and about what's going on in the region and in territories where, there are these ley lines and networks, that are that are on the earth, and the enemy tries to hijack them to basically send malevolent, occultic activity through. But the reality is the earth and the fullness thereof belongs to Yahweh.
Mhm.
It all belongs to us. It all belongs to him. So I love that. I really love that. And yeah, it's like fond memories. It's like reliving, like the children of Israel, Darla, like you were saying, the children of Israel would tell their stories over and over to the next generations so that they would not lose those stories and those accounts of everything that God did for them, so that the next generation, the next generation, the next generation could all trust him because they knew those stories as well. I love that. What do you guys think, excuse me, about the neighbor being agitated?
Well, that'd be a conflicting thought. It would be a system that is, well, I was talking about foreign. So, and it could also be the dreamer having those thoughts that that she is putting behind her, and she's moved on, but they keep cropping up and tripping her up. And so it's a conflict and they cannot coexist. So one or the other is going to take prominence or dominion of their space or their sphere of influence. So she's got to deal with that.
Preach, Jill. I completely agree. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Conflicting mindsets, that double, where she got mad because the neighbor made her feel like, did I not make the right decision? Well, how often do we get persecuted even by people that are very, very close to us? When we're moving into, I'm going to choose my words very carefully here, but different other revelation in the kingdom than what is traditional, maybe to our family and our friends and in our sphere of influence. And how often do we get a bit downgraded, or we get sometimes berated over it, lambasted over it, because it's not what they believe and they don't have the capacity for it. Sometimes it's just they don't have the capacity for it. And where we may have moved into something else, and that's the right thing for us, that open sphere, that open structure, they are where they are, and God is working with them where they are, and we are where we are, and God's working with us where we are. Again, we don't all get there at the same time, right?
Right. Well, I'm also thinking that that would represent that phone system too, where it's keeping you landlocked. And
Absolutely.
so you
That's
have
good.
that problem in lots of times in the church, because
Yeah.
you have people that are moving through realms, and then you have the old system that looks good and is functional, but it keeps you landlocked. There's no ability to move or pass the cord. You have to drag that cord with you, your phone line. You can't go very
Absolutely.
far.
That's right. And Darla was saying something about a party line earlier. We lived on a farm
Right.
and we had a party line, and I saw Eileen had put in the chat, that the telephone represents, intimate communication. But if you're on a party line, there is nothing intimate about that, because everybody's listening in. Like, the watchers, they're busy trying to listen in because you're landlocked. That's absolutely right. Wow. That is so good. That is really good. Yeah, and just the woman pointing out all of those things, it kind of goes back to what I was saying, your sphere of influence doesn't really understand where you are. They don't have the relation yet. So they don't really understand where you're going or what you're doing. They only have, one. We were all there, right? We were all in that place where we only had one. We only saw, like, you take a tool, in your kitchen or in your shed, and we only see one way that you could use that tool. It's only meant for one thing only. And the Lord starts giving you revelation, and the word then, like a tool, a sharp sword in your mouth, the word then begins to be used in different ways that we've never used it before. And that is very disconcerting to a lot of people who don't see it any other way. They don't have the capacity to see it any other way. They just still see it in that one. There's only one way to use that tool. It only facilitates one type of task. But God is so multifunctional. He's so multi-purpose, which I love that, because I like being that. I like being, I'm not always good at it, but I like being multitasked.
Come on.
Where people are agitated because they don't understand where we're going, so to speak. It just kind of goes back to, again, those conflicting mindsets that we were talking about. But if we listen to the accuser of the brethren, or we listen to the voice of the enemy, or we listen to those who don't understand, then we can start thinking that where God has put us is not the right place, because, oh my gosh, there's no ceiling, and boy, it doesn't feel very stable, and I'm traveling blind. Well, welcome to the kingdom. Right? Welcome to the kingdom. That's the way it works. So we can't doubt, we can't be double-minded. What do you guys think about the dreamer's anger at the end and being unkind to that sort of legalistic voice. I see that voice of the neighbor, as you were saying, Jill, that foreign mindset. I see it sort of as that, legalistic, very religious mindset, not in a good way. But what do you guys think about about the dreamer getting triggered? Because she definitely got triggered.
Well, it's she has to recognize it for one thing for what it is, and then she's got to set boundaries that no, she's not going to believe that, she's not going to listen to that, like you were saying. So it definitely has triggered her. She probably thought she had put that thing to bed and it was gone, and
Been there, done
then
that.
all of a sudden it's woke up again, and she's struggling with the same old junk, that she wanted to get rid of in the first place. So, yeah.
Amen to that.
And those are the places where we should be a little bit unkind,
That is a good point, Darla. Speak more into that.
Well, here she was woke up in a place with no ceiling. There's no limit. There's fun floors, to explore. There's fresh air. You can sleep with your doors open, for Pete's sakes. She's in a wonderful place. And then for this neighbor to come on in, which, like Jill said, is probably another aspect of herself, saying, I've got this great place, and you wake up in peace and there's people helping and all is well. Well, we can't have that now, can we? We got
Everything's good. We can't have that.
If we don't have something to fix, then what are we here for? We forget that God's got us as arrows in his bow, and he's just waiting to let us go. So, we got to hop on in and take our place, and not let ourselves, first of all, stop us. But then, certainly if family members, well-meaning friends, whoever, or people who just plain don't like us, have something negative to say, then don't be kind. Get that gone and move on. We can't give it up.
Yeah. That is it. That is so good. That is so good. Yeah, I love these dreams. They have so many facets to them, don't they? They're like a gem. And it's not like you're pushing the limits by going different directions with the message, because God will use the different messages over time. How many times have you had a dream that was extremely vivid? You remembered every detail about it. The Lord gives you an interpretation, either directly or from a person, right? And then a year later, you reread that dream and it's speaking to you again, but in a whole new way, a whole different way. And I have had dreams that I look back at that I had 10 years ago that are still speaking to me. It's kind of like the Word of God, right? Because it's got his messages in it, which I love. I love that.
I have a comment.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, what I was thinking is, that foreign voice is trying to bring in doubt and fear into her life. And if she agrees with that, what it's going to do is it's going to shut down those open doors. I mean, those open doors will close. So that's what the enemy is trying to do to her. And so she needs to take authority over
Say that again, Jill. I'm going to get you to say that again because you froze for just a second.
Oh, okay. What I was saying was that foreign voice or that foreign thought was trying to get her to come into agreement with fear and doubt, because that fear and doubt, what it's going to do is it's going to close those double doors that are open. And so that portal will be shut down, and she will not be able to have the freedom and the spirit that she once had. So that's why she spoke so curtly to it. But then again, the enemy making her feel guilty, you know, and making her doubt, you know, her authority and her convictions. So
There you go.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. You guys both brought that up. Yeah, that's a great point. You can't be kind to the enemy. You can't be kind to the accuser, the prosecutor. You can't be kind to that one, because, as you said, if you come into agreement with it, you've lost a lot of ground. And we're not doing that.
Right.
We're not doing that. I love it. Well, this has been fun, ladies, right?
Yeah.
Well, we love you guys, and we thank you so much for being with us. How cool, and what a great time. We love having you. Please feel free to like and subscribe if you don't mind. And also let us know where you're from. We appreciate that. Thank you so much, and we will see you next Friday.
Bye bye.
Yep.